the record button, and here we go. So good morning, everybody. Welcome to our, fifth installment of Dishing with Diamonds, and I could not be more excited about having Andrea Mitchell with us. Andrea is a friend as well as and obviously she's a diamond, y'all, right? But additionally, Andrea and I were paired up last year to speak together for Super Saturday. So we bonded in a way that we will be bonded for life forever. So I want to take a minute just to do a quick disclaimer that, of course, anything we discuss on this call is not corporate sponsored by Plexus. The results are not typical, nor are we claiming to make any cures financially or in the way of health and wellness. This is just our own personal experience, and I am so honored to have you, Andrea. Thanks for being here.
I love being with you. I mean, I think once you've sat on someone's carpet of their living room floor with paper spread everywhere, trying to figure out the best way to train corporately a mass amount of people, and then traveled with them and just done life with them for hours, I think you're pretty much in for the long haul. So I love doing anything with you, even if it's just sitting and talking with you, but training with you is an absolute blast. I'm glad I get to do this.
Well, here we are paired up again. I'm excited that we were paired with new people because it's going to be a great experience. But I'll be reminiscent on Super Saturday of our experience last year for sure. So, but thank you again for being here. And we're just going to roll in these questions. As I've explained to this group, this is just a peek on how two friends chatting and grab the drink of your choice. And just sit back, relax, and we don't take this way too seriously at all. But what I'd love to start with me, I mean, you can't. But what I'd love to start with is just knowing what your life was like before Plexus.
Sure. So I have been married now for 12 years. We have 3 kids, and we have our oldest now is 10. It's Ella. Ella has cerebral palsy, and so she does life in a wheelchair. And she's verbal, yet we don't actually understand most of what she says. And she is just a joy. And then we have 2 boys, Jonathan and William. And William's 8, and Jonathan is 6. And they are active, full-blown boys. They do, if you can pick all the things that boys do, they mark all of those boxes. We've been in the ER as many times for them as we have for her. They just keep us busy. So before Plexus, I was exhausted with the 3 of them, but I was a stay-at-home mom. I got to volunteer at school. I got to volunteer at church. I definitely was not looking for a job. I kind of viewed what people did with this kind of more of as a hobby, not as a full-time career. And I was really kind of comfortable. My husband had a great job, and we were in a really good place. And I could go to lunch with my girlfriends, much like I do now. And so I feel like in a lot of ways, my life hasn't, my day-to-day life really hasn't changed, but in the grand scheme of what my life looks like, it's much different. But so before Plexus was a lot of, I don't know what I did during the day before Plexus. I kind of look back and go, did I watch TV? I don't think I did. I don't know what I did, but I somehow managed to consume my days with probably, more, volunteer stuff. But it was kind of, I was exhausted. I know I slept a lot during the day.
So, from a day-to-day, it doesn't sound like it changed too much. So let's talk about how you got introduced to Plexus and maybe how life changed. We're going to combine question 2 and 3. So, how you were introduced, and then just run us through your business cycle.
So I saw Plexus being posted about on Facebook, and my first kind of tip to y'all would be make sure you're posting about all of the possibilities about Plexus. I was just seeing that Plexus was a pink energy drink. And so I was very uninterested. I thought it was an energy drink, just like you would buy at the gas station in one of those, big coolers or whatever. I wasn't interested in the caffeinated energy drink. And so that's all I really saw was energy in this pink drink. And so I wasn't interested. And a few months later, I saw my former boss and still a very dear friend and mentor of mine, Rosalind Payne, posting about it on Facebook. And I wasn't interested in the business at all. As I told you, I was kind of a comfortable stay-at-home mom. But I was interested in the fact that I knew Roz well. I knew her medical history well, since I'd worked for her through a lot of it. Excuse me. And I immediately called her. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. If you're taking this, I want in. And so I started it really as a product because, like I said, I was exhausted. And I really thought if I could just have some sustained natural energy to get through my life, I could function as a better mom, as a better volunteer, as a better, church member. I could do things better if I could just find some sustained energy. So I did, and the product started working really well for me. I have another sweet family member who we started giving some of the products to. And I really developed this story over 5 months of being a customer, and really of what the products did life-changing under our roof. And so I looked at my husband and said, can I share this with some people? And it'll cost me $35 to get a website, but I think if I share it, some of my friends will buy, like maybe 5, and I kind of named some people off for him. I thought might buy, probiotic, the probiotic, or just the pink drink or whatever. He was like, yeah, I guess I could see those 5 maybe buying from you. The most we'll lose is $35, but we'll make that up and, just the price difference since you're already buying all these products. And, if we all think back to those few moments before we signed up and what our expectations were, like we probably are all like, it might do this thing. That's cool. And that's kind of where I was. So on November 30th of 2013, I signed up as an ambassador. I flipped from preferred customer to ambassador. So love your preferred customers. And I just saw there was, kind of a market for this and market within my friends. And so I posted on Facebook just that I was getting started. I really didn't know what I was getting myself into. I swore I'd never do an MLM ever again because my history was not strong in them. But I had a product I wanted to share, and I just wanted to tell some people about it. And the good thing for me was that there wasn't a lot of pressure for it to explode. I think taking that pressure off of myself of I don't have to have this succeed actually allowed me to be really comfortable with sharing it with as many people as possible, because there was no desperation in what I was doing. There was really pure, I just want to tell you, I just want to tell everybody I know about all this stuff. And the more I was in it, the more stories I heard about other people, and the more I would share, the more I would tell, the more excited I got about what the products were really able to do. And so my first 12 days, I went silver. 6 weeks in, I went gold. And my 3rd month in the business, I went senior gold. My 4th month in the business, I went ruby and senior ruby. And my 5th month, I went emerald. My 8th month in the business, I went sapphire. And at 14 months, I went diamond. Which my diamond story is much slower than Miss Rainey's diamond story. But I just think what it is it was sharing something that really worked with a bunch of people all at one time. So Facebook was a huge network for me. I'd already established that for years prior to Plexus. So it wasn't something I had to really think about or work on. It was the way I'd always shared our whole lives, all of Ella's development, all of the boys' milestones, any vacation Joe and I went to. We just always shared our lives on Facebook. So sharing this wasn't any different. And it just, one person told another person, told a whole group in, this town, and then this town started taking off with it. And it really just exploded early and fast. I think just because there's pure excitement, pure joy in what the products had the ability to do.
I love the fact that you said that, you entered this without being in a space of desperation. And I think that is so huge when we are marketing ourselves, is that we don't come across as desperate. So many people enter this business because they need it to work. And I think at times, not for everybody, but at times that can come across as, I need this to work, instead of approaching it as if, because we have a gift and I have a vehicle that can change your life. Almost like saying less to more people, right? Just sharing your excitement and then getting them interested that way, but without intention. Again, I think we had an advantage when we started because there wasn't all these trailblazers ahead of us. There were a few, but as far as our market, nobody had done it. So we were all just passionately sharing. And that's the mindset I remind this team of often, is just passionately share. Quick question for you. What products did you start off on?
So my very first products were Slim and Accelerator, and those were my own products. And then as soon as I realized that those were really working and doing what I expected them to do, actually more than what I expected them to do, then I went straight to ProBio 5, BioCleanse, X Factor, and that was really like our core products under our roof for a really long time.
And keep in mind, y'all, she's a family of 5, so lots of core products being purchased. So she was not only was she a preferred customer, she was a really good one. So now you're in the business, you've ranked to Diamond. Talk to me about how you stay motivated. I know from pure excitement you were motivated as you were working your way through the ranks. And it was a quick journey. 14 months is still lightning speed to Diamond. Our journeys were very, very similar in terms of time frame. The only difference really, Andrea, because we were spot on as far as month to month ranking, I just went 12 months versus 14. So, very similar journeys in terms of time frame. And I know that it was worth it for you for the 14 months. Heck. So let's talk about staying motivated. Now you're Diamond. What keeps you, what's your mindset today?
So I remember my motivation kind of sign up to Emerald was Roz. So I loved my upline so much that every single month I wanted to know where she was every month and how close she was to her next rank. So I wanted her to be able to quit her job. I wanted her to be able to stay home with her kids. I loved her dearly, and I wanted that for her. So I remember being like, okay, if I rank to here, then she'll rank to here, and that'll be good for her. And so that was a really big motivator for me, almost like I couldn't let Roz down. Once the ball started moving, once I saw some momentum, I really couldn't pull it back because I wanted it so badly for her. Again, back to, I didn't have a lot of, my why wasn't strong enough for myself. It was really big for her, and it was really big for the people that I had recruited. And so I think that still kind of plays in now. Not so much Roz. I think she's okay now. But for my level ones, I love them. They are my friends. They are people that I have done life with. They are people that have stood by me in my wedding, that I have stood by them when they have gotten married. We have been each other's bedsides when babies have been born. Or we have just learned to love each other well in the last couple of years. And so I want it for them. Amy Kosmosky says in her Diamond documentary, I haven't reached the top. I'm not done until everybody underneath me that wants Diamond hits Diamond. Like everybody on my team that wants to be on stage with me at that Diamond presentation at convention, when all of those people on my team that want to hit Diamond have hit it, then I'm done. And I just don't feel like I'm there yet. I don't feel like I'm at the point where I can stop because there are people depending on me. And I also think, I wrote this down so I wouldn't forget, it is so much fun, y'all. There is joy in watching someone achieve their goals, even if their goal is to go silver. Even if their goal is, I haven't hit gold in 2 years and I'm going for it. There's joy in helping other people achieve their goals. And I really find a lot of self-fulfillment in that. I find a lot of kind of pat myself on the back. I'm like, woohoo, we got so-and-so to silver. I just feel like we have run a marathon. The marathon doesn't have to be Diamond for everyone. For some people, the marathon is $500 a month. We have consistently with, Beth has made $500 a month every single month for 12 months. We are in a good place. She has paid off this bill. Her tires blew the other day and she had money in the bank to pay for them. I feel like we have accomplished something supernatural. And so I think when you love your people above and below you enough, that's your motivation. That's what keeps me going. We do have a bigger why now, and we'll talk about that later, but that's outside of, that's ours, mine and my husband's. But it it really didn't start out like that. It really started out as a pure desire to help as many people as possible reach their goals. And I have a few that have reached them. But it's funny because, as y'all probably know, you reach a goal and all of a sudden you set a new goal. And then you reach a goal and you set a new goal. And I think helping people achieve those is like fuel to my fire.
I love that. And I think that I know that about you, but I think that gives this team and those that will be watching this back an insight to, who you are and what makes you tick. And it's just, reason 9,072 that I adore you. So let's talk about, and I want to make sure we get to that why. So if for some reason, somehow the questions don't lead to it, I definitely, because it's big. So what is a motivational phrase that inspires you?
So here's what's funny. You can kind of see behind me, I have all these books of great speakers. And I always hear everyone quote these great, orators. And I'm like, oh, someday I'm going to remember all those things that I've read. And I don't. So when you hear other people quote them and you think, I want to remember that. Yeah, it doesn't stick in my head. But something that our team says all the time, it is simple. It is not easy. So what we do in our business is so simple, but it doesn't mean it's easy. And so we go through, like, you make a list, you contact the list, you follow up with the list. That's our job. That's how we share what we do. That's how we reach these next levels. There's a lot of, minutia involved in that as well. There's trainings, there's all, personal development, there's a bunch of other stuff, but we make a list, we contact the list, we follow up with the list. And so we really, really try to keep it simple. And we realize that just because it's simple does not mean it's easy. But if we do the same thing every single day, there's productivity involved in that.
Absolutely. I love that so much. I heard something the other day that I want to share with you all. You sparked something in my head. And I shared this with someone that I was talking to yesterday, but going along those lines of that, what we do is simple, not always easy, also speaks to the fact of what we do is easy, but doing the opposite is just a hair easier. So, and it's really the truth when you think about it. It's easy to follow up with someone, but to not do it is just a little bit easier. And so it's forcing ourselves to do those easy things every single day to become measurably better. Because if we commit ourselves to becoming like 0.23 or 6, or I'm not good with math, so don't hold me to the numbers, but if we commit ourselves to becoming measurably better every day, in 1 year, we've made 100% turnaround. So that's my 2 cents on easy, not always simple. So, okay, so when you invite someone, how do you invite someone? And I know that it's different for every single person, and this group is smart. They know that too. But could you just give us a glimpse into how possibly you might share with someone that you don't have a strong relationship with?
Yeah, so I love the fact that everyone says, okay, I'm done with my warm market. Warm market, how do I contact my cold market? I really don't think I have a cold market. I think I have a hot market, and I have a little bit warmer and a little bit more lukewarm. But I think if I have ever had any kind of a contact with someone, they are still really my warm market. I know them. I know their name. I might know a story or two about them. They know me when I contact them. They're not going, who are you again? Like, you can kind of go, oh, yeah, we were in math class together. Or we had this funny story, 20 years ago or whatever. But what I do is I don't try to reestablish that relationship. I don't spend time cultivating a new relationship with that person or, really saying, well, I've loved seeing all of your pictures and, been talking for a while about something. Oh, and by the way, how do you feel about Plexus? And I really will go straight in. And this is something I would say getting off this call today. I'd write someone and say, hey, Amy, I was on a call today. We were talking about Plexus. Someone mentioned XYZ. It made me think of you. It is crazy that I have not asked you yet. I want you to do this business with me. And it could be Amy that I haven't seen in 25 years since junior high math. It doesn't matter. It's, I want you. I see something of value in you that you would kill this business. If you posted about, the products speak for themselves. The products are gut health, nutritional absorption, inflammation. The products are stellar. I don't even have to go over products with you. They're so amazing. But the business is insane. Like, you would be amazing at this business. And so I'm not reestablishing a connection, but I am telling her I know enough about her to say you have integrity, you have influence, you are someone that people trust, you have an amazing sense of nutrition and fitness already. I see it on Facebook, whatever those things are. But I just go straight in and say, girl, you've got to do this with me. Every time I think about who I would want on my team, your name pops in my head. I'm a nut if I don't just ask you to do this with me.
I love that. I think it's a fresh perspective on how to approach somebody. And here's the thing, you guys, when you're hearing advice from people at the top, it's what's worked for them. And you can take this and apply sections of it, pieces of it, or the whole stinking thing to your business and try something new. But I absolutely love that perspective, and you've inspired me to try something different. So,
well, I think a lot of times, a lot of y'all will write that down word for word, or y'all will go, okay, I'm so glad that's recorded. I'm going to go back. I'm going to write it down. Write it in your voice. So I have an ambassador who will always ask me, what do you say exactly? And I have learned over time to tell her, I will verbally tell you what I say. I will not write it down for you. I will verbally tell you what I say, but I need you to rewrite it in your voice. Because early on, she read it out loud to her husband, like, here's what I'm going to send out. And he was like, that doesn't sound like you at all. That sounds like Andrea. That does not sound like you. I'm so casual. I'm so like, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I just don't say anything with eloquence at all. And that's just not my personality. I'm okay with that. But she's very eloquent, very measured. And so her husband and I have both been telling her, you need to write this in your voice. Here are some ideas, but make it sound like you. Voice record it. Listen to yourself saying it. Does it sound crazy? If it sounds crazy for you to verbally say it, write it some way different. So write it in a way that really sounds like something you would say to somebody else.
Okay, so here's what I love. Is what I'm hearing is a quote that we say in our family all the time. And it's simply, don't be weird. Just be yourself. Because when you try to be somebody else, you come across as really weird, y'all. And so we say that a lot in our house. Just don't be weird. And that's what I'm hearing. When you say that, that's what it's reminding me of, is don't try to be somebody else, because you're going to come across as weird. And I'm sitting here telling you that is an absolute turnoff to people, is when you're weird. Well, maybe not to all people, but anyway. So, okay, let's talk about, what I love about Andrea's team. They have an amazing duplication process. And so I want you to kind of walk through what some of the beginning stages of the duplication looks like. Andrea has success after success after success on her team. And I'm not just measuring that off of the insane amount of diamonds she has. I'm measuring that off of the fact that there's an infectious, positive attitude within her organization. So kind of talk to me about what bringing a brand new person on board looks like for y'all.
It's really changed over the years, and we probably did it better at the beginning than we do it now. I will say, if you are a silver, gold, senior gold, your ability to connect with a new ambassador is measurably higher than my connection as a diamond. Because when you're trying to tell like, say you're trying to tell your kid how to tie their shoe, and because you've tied your shoes for so long, you almost can't even explain it. You're like, well, you do this and this and this, and then it's tied. And they're like, whoa, let's go back to the first step. And you almost can't go back to the first step because you don't know how you do it. You do it so often. And I really think there's a lot of truth in that and how we onboard. So when we were starting out and going really fast, that there were so many of us starting together, and there were so many of us that were really learning at the same time, that you have a sweet spot at silver or getting to silver, gold, and senior gold. I know where you are right now. And so really what I think most of us as leaders try to do is backtrack and go, okay, what did I need to know that first week? And I will say this is different for everyone. So just like your prospecting message is going to be different, I signed up 3 new ambassadors last month. All 3 of them, totally different onboarding. And I say that because all 3 are willing to share, all 3, but they all want to do it different ways. One really just wants to start out with emails. One does not want to go public on Facebook yet. Okay, let's develop exactly how you're going to talk about on email. But you know what I did first? had a conversation with each one of them. I knew this person wants to start out on email. This person is like, I'm all in. I'll go Facebook every day, all day long. Just tell me what to say. I have no idea where to go from here. I've been a customer for 2 months. The third person hasn't been a customer at all, never tried the products, and doesn't mind posting on Facebook, but really has no idea. And so her first post was opening up her welcome kit. She literally did a video of her opening up the whole thing, products, starter kit, our whole thing, and kind of talking through like, oh, this is kind of neat. And here's a card from Carl talking, and she makes it out loud. And so I really think you have to know those people. You cannot force them into a pipeline of exactly what you did. And if I did that, I would have every single person post the first day, every single day for the next 5 months. And that worked really well for me because it was my personality. I was already on Facebook. I was already really active. I have a great personal posts that I post every day normally anyway, so that didn't stop. People weren't willing to unfriend me to stop following my daughter's progress, and so I kind of had them trapped. Not everybody has that. I think I have a pretty good social media presence. That's not for everybody. And so if you have someone that you're forcing into a pipeline of you have to do A, B, C, and D to make this work, yes, you really do need to use social media. You need to be able to contact the masses in the short numbers of, you don't want to, we can post on Facebook. And when I started, I had 1,500 Facebook friends. That would have taken me 15 emails of 100 emails a piece. And I would have had to have all those people's email addresses. That would have been a lot more exhausting and not as personal. So I think there's just different ways you can do it. So my very first thing is to have a conversation with the person really before they sign up and say, how do you want to do this? And some people are like, I just want to take the products. I just want to take the products. You treat them as a customer. If they are coming in as a wholesale customer and they will not share right now, you need to love them well as a customer. You need to make sure that you're checking in with them weekly, that if they're having detox symptoms, that you're talking them through that if something's not working well with the products that they're taking, that you find out the system that works best for them. It may take a couple of months, and you work them well, because what if after 2 or 3 months you've trained them well as a customer, even wholesale, you've trained them well as a customer, and so now they're like, okay, now I think I can share. You've guided me through this whole products journey. I want it in the cheapest way possible. You've guided me through this whole products journey. Now I'm ready to share. Instead of saying, okay, well, you're going to post on Facebook, and they're like, whoa. And so because they're not posting, they're kind of falling off your radar. You really have to take each person individually. And I really think that's what we do. And we also have a culture of friendships and fun on our team. And I have people that are my level 9s, which if you know anything about our compensation plan, I get paid nothing on them. But I've developed friendships with level 9s that I just adore. I don't spend a lot of time there, but I could ask them a question, or I'll even have them do a training video if they're doing something really phenomenal. I have a level 9 that recruits like nobody's business, and I had her do training videos. Our team is constantly saying, you do this really well. Will you train the whole team on that? You do this really well. Well, you've added 17 level 1 ambassadors in the last 2 months. Can you do a video on that? How you close the sale? You have, $4,000 in PV. Can you talk about how you gain customers? And we're constantly like using the team as a whole to train the whole team. And those are kind of some of our things, but I really think we don't have a duplicated onboarding system the way some people on my team do. I am not an organized person. You see the organized part of my office. The rest of it looks like chaos. And I really think that, every single person is different. If you need to be by the book, then you need to find an onboarding system that is, I need to know your why. Tomorrow we need to make our list. I'm going to sit down with you the next day. We're going to, audit our list. I'm going to teach you how to post your very first post. I'm going to teach you how to answer when people say, what is Plexus? I'm going to guide you through this. I'm a little bit more like, okay, you're over here doing this. You're over here doing this. And let's work 2 different angles at the same time. I meet with my level 1s consistently, almost weekly, so that I can say, okay, let's figure out the pulse of where you are right now. How does it feel right now? Almost like you would a customer. How are things going right now? What do we need to adjust? And that tends to work really, really well for us.
I love that. And again, I think I hear meeting people where they are, and, and what's wonderful is when, you say if you need something more detailed. I think Plexus has laid that out quite beautifully for us in our success kit. And so that's a great starting ground every single time. Let's talk about your business tips. I know you have more than one, and we've heard a few right now, but talk to me about what are three of your best business tips.
Okay, so we talked about how our team's kind of motto is to keep it simple. So my business tips for everyone on the call, because here's the thing, your personal IPA matters a million times more than anything else, is that you need to have a list. And y'all, here's what my list looks like. This is my prospecting list. These are every single one of my prospects. There's a little over 300 people in there, and they're all prospects. Once they join a team or join somebody else's team, I take them out, but otherwise they stay in the box. They stand up if I'm in the middle of, they're actually all these people standing up, like, on the fence conversations with. All these people ignore me, and I continue to reach out to them. But you need to have a list, and y'all, you have to have 5 to 10 influencers on your list at all times. And you can think of influencers like the mayor's wife. It does not have to be that big. It has to be someone that just, they post, a new restaurant on, Facebook, and everyone's like, ooh, I'm going to try that. They just are influencers in just what they do in life, not necessarily they are, important in like your town or your community, just that they are people say have integrity. They're people trust. And if they say, hey, I'm trying Plexus, anybody want to come on, that you've got, 10 people are going to join them the first week. And so you always have influencers on your list. And if you want to look and see what an influencer is, look at their Facebook page. If they have groups of friends that are always taking pictures with, every Friday night you see them, and they're like, golly, they look like a lot of fun. I mean, they are always going somewhere. They go on vacation with all these people. They do Halloween with their whole neighborhood. I mean, they have 27 kids at their house at all times. Those are influencers. Those are people that are constantly surrounded by other people that trust and adore them. And so I would say make sure that your list is always updated and it has influencers in it. The second thing, make sure I hit these, is that you're letting people know that you do Plexus. I think our tendency is to go, oh yeah, well they know because, I've been doing it for 3 years. It'll be 3 years this month for me. Everyone really should know. So one of my dear friends actually asked me on Sunday night, we were talking, I'd been cold messaging her. And we kind of been talking back and forth, but it was a full-on cold message in the fact that I'd never really talked to her about Plexus before. And so on Sunday night, she goes, okay, but what is it really? Because I can't take caffeine. I can't have, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's been 3 years of me posting about this. Do you still not know what these products are? Y'all, people don't. They're not reading all of your posts. They're not researching it the way that you're asking them to. And they're not clicking on the link. And so when you message someone, you say, I want you to do this with me. And then that starts the conversation of, okay, but what is it exactly? Because I know you've been posting about it for 6 months or 2 years or 5 years, whatever. But what is it? You need to be able to talk about what it is. You need to be able to generally say, it's a health and wellness company. We really are focused on internal health. Sometimes for some people, they get their internal health situated, that you can start seeing it on the outside. But for the most part, we are gut health, we are inflammation, we are energy, and we've got this Edge product coupled with Slim. I mean, you can say we've got energy. And you really just talk about what you've seen other people experience. It doesn't have to be your story. But I do want to encourage that you need to have a list, and you need to make sure everybody on that list knows what Plexus actually is. And then do not give up on following up with people until they join somebody else's team. So I told you I don't take them out of my box until they join somebody else's team. There are people in here that I have been messaging since the day I signed up on November 30th of 2013. I'm literally planning a message for them November 30th of this month to be like, okay, 3 years I have been talking to you about this. Are you ready? Like, what is holding you back at this point? And And so I can have, that's my conversation I'm having with them on November 30th. But I still think there are people that are in my box that have been there for 3 years that haven't jumped, and it's just because they're not sure. And there's a question I still need to answer for them. I just don't give up on people. I mean, there are people that have been watching me since the beginning and they're just now joining. They're like, well, I kind of thought it was crazy. And then you stuck with it for 3 years and, you've made a little bit of money and now I think it might be a good idea. Whatever, that's fine. So I just think not giving up on people would probably be my biggest tip.
I love that. And, when you just said not giving up on people, and I in my brain was saying, Andrea never gives up. I mean, did you see her bots and all the names in there? And she says she's not organized, but I don't know. I'm going to have to call Bib. I see your organization, but I like that organization. And I'm a paper person, and I like the way you've organized. I mean, I've shared with my team, I'm a hot mess when it comes to my list. I have spirals of lists that are not organized, that don't have stand up or tear down pages or anything. I need to get better about that. And so Andrea with her fancy box,
so y'all, I would find these all over my office, like these lists. In fact, I just found this one the other day. I was showing my team. So I had these lists all over, and I finally was like, I had 17 spirals and I could never find what that person was on a list somewhere. Can't remember if I contacted them. So one day I just sat and now every time if I'm scrolling through Facebook, I always have these little note cards with me, and I'll just sit here and I'll be like, oh yeah, I forgot Megan's not on my list. She's not in my box. I need to write her name down and put her in my box and stand her up, and I'll just message her right then and there. Hey girl, never messaged you about Plexus before. I know you've been watching me. You're a little interested now. So.
Perfect. Well, I know we've got lots of questions coming in about your organization. We'll get to those. We're almost finished, y'all, with the standard questions. So, I'm going to ask you this question, but feel free to just give us like a clip version of it. So your daily method of operation when you were building your business, we've covered a lot of that. And so I'm almost thinking about taking this question out because I think by the time we get to it, we've answered it. But was there anything that we left out in terms of what you did on a day-to-day basis while you were rising through the ranks? Because today it looks a lot different. A diamond's activity looks way different than what it looked like on day one.
I would say the one thing I did at the beginning is I never stopped. I never took downtime. I pretty much think I would wake up in the middle of the night and message somebody back. Like anytime my phone would ding, I never, I went hard and fast for 6 months. It's kind of like having my foot on the accelerator and going, if I can press it all the way to the accelerator and maybe a little bit more, this will happen faster for me. And I had momentum. So one thing to back it up, and we can kind of get to this in the next question too, but is that I have a lot of my jewels now joined me in the first 2 months of my business. So not all of them, but a good portion of them. So I had huge momentum really early on because of that reason, because a few people joined me early and caught the vision and exploded their own teams. And so I never stopped. I would answer my phone at the dinner table, in the bathroom, in the car. I never took a second break. And you can't do that for very long. That's not something you can sustain for 3 years. That's something I could sustain for 6 months. I asked my husband for grace. I asked my kids for grace, and we hit some goals. If you have that momentum, that is possible. Like that is what I did. I didn't establish business hours. I established no boundaries, and I went hard and fast for a short period of time, so that there was some momentum. That when I pulled off the accelerator, I could kind of take a look and see where I really needed to focus my attention, and then be intentional about focusing my attention there.
I think when you hear somebody who's obtained any measure of success with Plexus, you will hear them say just exactly that they learned the boundaries, they learned business hours. But in the beginning, I think you make sacrifices. And I would say that with anything that you choose to take on that you have goals in. That's even, think about this, y'all. When we become mamas, we sacrifice our showers. We sacrifice, our social lives. Because it's our job to raise this infant, to teach them the basics in life. I mean, we're teaching them everything from how to eat, how to sleep, how to potty. And that's how we look at our new ambassadors as well. We are all in with them. We sacrifice showers. We sacrifice family time. And so that is a picture of reality I want to paint for this group that has goals, is that you may be a little out of balance in the beginning. And guess what? Your beginning can start over at any time, because the beauty of this business is, let's say you didn't create that momentum for yourself in the first months of your business, the first years of your business. I'm here to share with you that you can change that. And that's the beauty of network marketing, is that it allows you some freedoms that a conventional, job does not offer you. So one of the questions came in, and it happens to be one of my questions as well, is how many level 1 runners do you have? And you can talk to us about how many people you signed up overall. I think we heard, and I don't know that this team heard this, but I had heard from somebody, and I'm a part of so many different conversations and training, they just become one big conversation. But that Julia, who is on Andrea's team, her level 1, and I'm sorry, 3. That's right. We've had this conversation. Anyways, that she is her level 3. That her number 43 person or something of that matter was one of her first real yeses, real runners, So everyone's numbers look different. I always like to preface this question because I don't want this team to fall out when they hear your number. So talk to us about maybe how many you personally sponsored, and then how many of those are actually what you would consider level 1 runners.
And so I love the word runner, and my team uses it a lot, but it kind of, in my mind, is kind of in that same level with the word rock star. So I struggle with, because I've run a couple of half marathons, and I'm not what you would call a runner. I'm more what you would call a slow jogger. So, or maybe a fast walker. And so I really put value in all of those people. I have people that have been with me since the beginning that are gold, and by golly, they are in it every single day. And then I have Jules, who probably take their foot off the accelerator a little too much, and don't put that kind of IPA in. So a runner to me is kind of an interesting term, but I have 67 level 1s. I have 2 positions. I have re-entered, and I have 2, but out of those positions, I have 67 level 1s total. So not a ton. I have 11 that are gold and above, and I have 15 who last month had 500 PB or more. So for me, a runner is someone, and they're all active. So when I think someone asked me, how do I contact, and Brenna may have asked, how do I contact my level 1s? And I really have between 11 and 15 people that I'm in constant contact with. So talking to 2 a day isn't that big of a deal. I'll talk to maybe Becky Page, who's a diamond, and then I'll talk to Elizabeth Poe, who's a gold. And those conversations are very different. But I can talk to both of them in a day, maybe an hour a piece. And that's I kind of have 2 power hours. I have an hour of productivity out of this box, and then I have kind of an hour where I'm going to talk to someone on my team and say, how's it really going? How do you talk to so-and-so? And really do more training. So talking to my level 1s isn't that hard when it's my level 1s that want to work it. I have a lot of level 1s that buy their wholesale customers, and I talk to them once or twice a month, and I make sure they like their products and they don't want to try anything different, especially when we get a new product, or like this month we're really pushing block. I'll talk to them, and then I move on. I'm not going to spend an hour a week talking to a wholesale customer that doesn't really just wants to be a wholesale customer. But so I would say I have between 10 and 15 runners, fast walkers, slow joggers, and people that some are foot on the accelerator all in, and like Ellen Ford is my level 1. The girl does not take her foot off the accelerator. She has permission from her husband. She has permission from her kids. She chooses to still go at that pace, what she calls diamond pace. And so she's what I would call a sprinter still, like the child. She's like sprinting a marathon. But then I have people that really aren't going at that pace. They don't have the permission from their families to really give it all of that time. And so they give it their 30 minutes of IPA a day, or they give it maybe an hour, power hour that they really developed now. And that's what they give, and they try to be consistent in that. And, they work on their PV, they work on adding 3 new level 1s a month, and that's their pace. And so, so your runners can look fairly different in their pace as long as they're all on the track and they're all moving forward. If they're not moving and they're sitting down, they're not a runner, because you can't steer them, you can't move them, you can't coach them if they're sitting. So as long as they're moving forward, walking, whatever, going slow, doesn't matter as long as they're moving forward.
Don't discount anyone, and that's what I love about that statement, is they are valuable, whether they are a diamond on your team or whether they're silver. If they want this, they get, I view it as they get my time, and that's the truth. Okay, so second to last question. What is a splurge or fun thing that you've done since becoming a diamond? And this may also be a great time to talk about your new why.
And so my favorite incentive that I've probably, and kind of part of the reason I got into Plexus and signed up at all, was we have a shopping spree that they do incentive-based in October before Leaders Retreat. And I saw Celeste go on it while I was still a customer. Roz actually connected me with Celeste on Facebook, I think, just so I would watch all the fun things Celeste was doing and sign up. And so I got the shopping spree the last 3 years. And I would say, that was something only possible because of doing this business. And the only reason I earned it is because my team is just incredible. And this year I actually had, I think 6 or 7 team members on the shopping spree. So it's pretty impressive of them that they all got it. Summit Emerald. So loved it. But the thing that we're doing outside of really what Plexus has afforded us the ability to do, and we're in the process of doing right now, is building a fully handicapped accessible home for Ella. And we have a ramp in the front, we have a ramp out the back. They're developing this new ramping system for the front of our house. Her shower is roll-in, accessible. She has a sink, one of those automatic sinks that she can just put her hands under, and the water comes out automatically. She doesn't have to try to, mess with faucets. She has an elevator. Absolutely ridiculous to have an elevator in your house, but we can do it. And she can get upstairs and play with her brothers. And she doesn't have to wait for us to walk her, up the steps, or be so exhausted that we're going to carry her down the steps. We have the elevator, which is safe for her to get up and down. It's just, Joe walked in yesterday to our living room, kitchen, dining room, and he, with tears in his eyes, said this is exactly what we wanted for her. We wanted a space that she doesn't feel she can't get through. She can't get from the back door to the front door and through the house. She can get anywhere in the house in her wheelchair, fully accessible. Obviously going to cry. But I just think that, Joe says, my husband, that this Plexus moved up our timeline 10 years. So where we were looking at maybe around the time she was 20 and the boys were moving out of the house, being able to do this, we can do it when she's 10, and the boys can grow up in this house, and they can grow up knowing we have all this space for Ella. We have this big backyard for us, but Ella has a swing in it too that we can play with her in. And just that Plexus and this gift has really allowed us to go into this debt-free. Our goal is to be, to always be debt-free. My husband, I think a 4-letter word for him really is debt. And so he wanted to make sure we weren't going to do this ahead of when we were able to. And so that's something I would have never written down on a why board at the beginning. A dream board at the beginning would never have been a house, because it just was so far outside the realm of possibilities at the time. And then to know now that not only is Plexus affording the ability for us to do it, but that we'll be able to pay it off quickly, and that it really will be, a gift for our family. It's just, and it seems silly because it's monetary, but it's not. It costs money, as everything seems to, but the amount of family time, ministry we can do with the church, being able to invite tons of people over, and being able to invite Ella's friends over who are also in wheelchairs, and being able to get them in and out of the house. We can use this as a gift and be a good steward of what God's given us. And it's really just such a blessing to be able to be a part of it, to just get to watch it happen.
That's awesome. And we should have maybe issued a mascara alert with that last one for sure. But last question is, hey, talk to this team about why Super Saturday. Why do they need to be there, Andrea?
Y'all, okay, so my very first Super Saturday, Rainey actually was a host. She was the MC. I did not know Rainey at all. It was my first time to meet her. But I remember thinking, oh, good, we'll have product training. I'll actually understand what all these products do. I'd only been an ambassador for, 5 weeks at a time. And so I was like, oh, we'll get all this like intricate detail information, which is not what you get. You get training. You get to know how to lead a team. This year is going to be amazing. What they're talking about, what they're launching, is going to be such a huge part of the next phase of our company. Really, this is going to take our company to a whole different level, and you are going to want to learn it firsthand. So it's a 4-hour training, and you are not going to want to get it in snippets from other people posting just one-liners on your team page or on Facebook or whatever. You are going to want to hear it firsthand. The second reason is you want to be seen as a leader. You need to be where the leaders are. All the leaders in this company are going to be at Super Saturday. You will not see a diamond, even if they're not speaking or leading, you will not see them sitting at home. You will see every single diamond, sapphire, emerald, senior ruby. Every person that wants to grow in this business will be at these trainings, and not because they necessarily need all the information, but because leaders show up to events. Leaders show up to convention. They show up to Super Saturday. They show up to opportunity meetings. Leaders show up for events. And so if you want to be seen as a leader, by your downline, your sidelines, your upline, if you want to be seen as a leader, you need to do what leaders do, and that's show up for events.
Love it. Oh my goodness. We had a few messages coming in, just how excited people are about Super Saturday. And so now I'm going to switch it over to all your lovely, lovely faces and pictures and even some foam little circles. But I want to open it up for questions. And I know we've had some come in, but if you have one while I'm scrolling through the questions to ask Andrea, go ahead and unmute yourself and feel free to speak. Andrea, I'm not above incenting this group. And so when we have participation, they go in a drawing for a fun prize, a daily action stack sheet that I had printed up, as well as just showing up on the call. They also go in a drawing. And so if you're on the phone, please be sure to message me your name, that you are here, because I don't know who you are via a phone number, and I can't, I could put your phone number in, I guess. But so I'm going to scroll through some of these questions. First of all, I want to let you know that the feedback, and I know you can see it, has been super positive. You're inspiring, you're enthusiastic, and that is contagious. And so let's see. So here's a question from Brenna. It says, being straightforward with people and just sharing your passion, do you prefer using voice messenger, or do you reach out sending text or some type of typed message?
Okay, I don't know about y'all. I love voice messenger. In fact, I have an actual stance that whenever I talk about voice messaging, my hand goes into this position where my fingers go around the phone. This one balances the phone, and this one sits on the little red button. So I'll talk about voice messaging like this all the time. I love it. People can hear your excitement. They hear your authenticity. It doesn't, y'all know how sometimes you'll get a message and you're like, how did they actually mean for this to go? Because I didn't hear it the way I think they meant for it to sound. When you voice message, people go, oh, she's really excited about me. I mean, she kind of sounds like she knows what she's talking about, or that she at least knows that she really wants me to hear it. I mean, I feel bad not at least writing her back. I mean, she's so excited. So I think that comes across in a voice. I love voice message. Plus, y'all, it's 1 minute, your whole pitch, 1 minute. You cannot go too long where people are having to scroll. It's 1 minute. They can listen to it in their car. They can listen to it while they're brushing their teeth. And it just shows them that you're available. You're on. And it's not, and the other thing is it's not copy and pasted. So they know it's just for them when it's a voice message. And so I just think that there's a personal touch there to voice messaging. And there's you can do 20 people in 20 minutes. And just by voice messaging, I think it's a great, great tool.
I just heard a challenge. Go ahead, Brenna. Sorry.
Actually, it's kind of something different, but I've got someone on my team who she is just amazing, dynamic. She was very successful in another MLM. She had a special needs child about 9 years ago. They've suffered a lot of rejection, unfortunately, and basically she's felt like she's cocooned, and she's like literally has even tried to keep people out of her life. Like on Facebook, she's limited it to family only, things like that. And she's had a hard time, but she's told me that she wants to do this. I asked her the other day because I didn't realize she wanted to. Her husband has an amazing job, and I told her, why don't we let's go to Hawaii together next year. Let's do it, Julie. And she said, I don't think whatever, she was kind of negative. And I said, do you not want to because you don't want to put the time in, or do you want to, you just don't know how to? And she said, I want to. And I said, what? And I was just like, oh my gosh. She's just like, I just don't know how to, because I've been in this cocoon. I've shut off all my friends for 9 years, and I don't even know where to start. Where would you seemed really good about helping people start and she doesn't want to use Facebook.
I think her hardest thing is going to be that she's starting without loving. I mean, she needs to love people well. Obviously we have Ella. I can see how people feel burned or feel victimized sometimes in this world, and especially with a special needs child. But I mean, if she isn't going to love people well, just in life, it's going to be really, really hard for her to come across sincere. I would have her, based on the fact that she's your friend, I would have her go to scripture. I would also have her, there's a book called What You Say When You Talk to Yourself. I'll get the exact title. Remind me, send me a message, Brenna, and I'll get you the exact title. But it really is like, is she hearing victim mentality in her head? Because I'll tell y'all, that doesn't work. Like feeling victimized by the world and like people owe you, or you're not confident enough to talk to people. I wouldn't say that my biggest skill is that I'm confident. My biggest skill is I just don't think about it. Like I just am too happy to think about whether someone is going to be mean to me if I post about it or if I reach out to them. It just is not a thought process that I have. I don't think if I message, Amy in my box, I don't think, oh, but what is she going to say? And what if she says no? And like, I don't think that. I just message her because I'm giving her a gift. Just like what Rainey was talking about. So I think she needs to rewire some ways that she thinks in her head, and you're going to have to really help her with that, because as soon as we start letting negative, it reminds me of what Carrie Wilkerson said at Leaders Retreat. If your narrative is negative in your head, that's going to come right out your mouth. It's going to come right out the way that you talk to people. And so I would really help her work on her narrative, because she obviously kind of has a destination with Maui. And, I think some alignment would probably help as well, just in life. But she's going to work on that narrative, or it's going to come out totally wrong when she's talking to people.
I did give her like a list of 10 scriptural affirmations. But I think just reminding her to do that. I've asked her about it a couple of times, and
have her send you an affirmation every day. Have her just shoot you a message every day, Monday through Friday. It doesn't have to do it on the weekends, but just say, hey, on Monday, send me an affirmation, something good today, something that you feel like can be affirming today. And just have her get in a habit of doing that to you and say, you know what, if you do it for 2 weeks, I'll take you to lunch. And we can talk about it. But make kind of a reward for doing it. But I think that she's got to get in the habit of, whatever the affirmation is. I mean, is it hard to do, especially with kids, special needs kids, a husband? Sure. Affirmations are hard. We are almost more loved by our peers if we go, oh, I'm so fat. But if a woman comes up to another woman and goes, I look good today, you're like, you don't want to hear that. It's the weirdest thing. Think about it. We're almost taught to say negative things about ourselves. So if we as women can encourage each other, I really want to hear something good that's going on today. My hair looks really good. Okay, mine doesn't. But if your hair looks really good, say, today I'm rocking a top knot. Done. Like, this is my day. This is how I feel. Got sweatpants on. I'm good. Like, I'm okay with that. If she needs to find some things that she's just okay with in life and happy about and joyful about. I mean, give her scripture on joy, true joy. And I think, I mean, in our businesses, if we can't find things to be truly joyful about, we're going to have a really hard time connecting with the outside world.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's about meeting people where they are, for sure, and knowing that each of us, you know, I give this example quite a bit, but I think it's relevant that, you know, we all are at different physical fitness levels. And just like Andrea said, she's preparing for a half marathon. She may have to prepare a little bit more than, say, somebody who's been running them for a while, because this other person's muscles are developed. So one question that we had come in, and I think is an interesting one, because I'm sure it's asked by one, others are feeling it. How do you build relationships with influencers?
That's interesting. I really, building relationships is not something that I feel like I intentionally work on. It is such a part of who I am. And I think that's the one thing that you have to remember when you're trying not to compare, but still comparing yourself with other people. And if you're looking at Celeste or Rainey or me or Roz, who's my upline, and we're people that like people. We really love just connecting with people. When I connect with people, I don't think about whether or not they're an influencer. I just love on them. If I'm sitting in Sunday school, we've kind of shifted up how we do Sunday school at church. And if I'm sitting there and I'm sitting across from someone, I'm like, you know what? She's really cool. Like, she's someone that if she said, hey, I'm shopping at this new boutique, do you want to, meet me there sometime? I'd be like, yeah, I mean, I dig your style. We're kind of similar. And I would go kind of wherever you're shopping. Or if there's someone that if they hosted an event, okay, so there's Christmas coming up. If there's someone that's going to host a party and it's going to be a fun party to go to just because they're that kind of people, those are people that are influencers. If they're going to have 100 people at their house at a party, people like love being around them. I would say influencers, not to make yourself be friends with influencers, but just find people that you enjoy being around. Other people probably enjoy being around them too. If there's a woman in your community that you'd love to go to lunch with and just kind of pick her brain about life, I bet there's a lot of other people that have picked her brain about life. There's just, influence isn't always about, rustic cuffs. If y'all have seen kind of that phenomenon that's gone on in the Plexus world. Influencers sometimes are just people that have integrity that other people just want to be around. And so go through Facebook. I challenge you to scroll your Facebook friends list today and to look for people that are not Plexus ambassadors and to look for what makes them someone I would want to be friends with on Facebook. Or like, oh yeah, they're friends with so-and-so and I do like them, or they're following that, they're sharing that funny vote post that person put out there. I want to follow that person too and kind of see that kind of stuff. Like, just who's out there influencing the world that is in your circle of, friends. And I think those are the people you really want to you don't have to be best friends with them. You just have to know them. They have to kind of know you. Put yourself out there.
Yeah, I like that, Andrea, because you circled it back around to, you're not going to get to know them or build a relationship with them really any differently than you would anybody else. I think a lot of times we hear the word influencer and then all of a sudden we may become intimidated by that word just because of the fact that you view them maybe, and I may hit some of you, in the ouchy spot, but you may view them on a different plane than you are. You're kind of doing this thing when you need to look at them as your peer. They're just somebody that you'd like to get to know. Here's the thing. If somebody came up to me and just said, I think you're cool and I'd love to go to lunch with you, I cannot hear myself saying no to that answer. I would be like, hey, you think I'm cool? You want to go to lunch? Let's do this. So, anytime you pay someone a genuine compliment, or, hey, I like what you said in church today, or I really like how you organized our kids' party. I just would love to get to know you more. I cannot imagine somebody not wanting to be a part of that with you. And so, again, I think it is about getting yourself out there and meeting with people face to face. asking someone just to get caught up. I think that there's value in that. It's investing in other people. It's speaking less and listening more, getting people to talk about themselves. I'm going to ask you one more question. We're a little bit over on time, but I feel like this team is really needing to hear from you. We'll do one more written question, then if somebody wants to chime in after this question, we'll do, I like to under promise, over deliver, but I like this question. How do you basically coach somebody through die-off symptoms? So you've got a new customer in there, because I think this is something that, we go through, that people have high expectations of our product, and then the next call you get is, I have a horrible headache. This is hard. This is awful. So Andrea, how have you coached some of your more some of the challenges that our customers may experience?
Sure. I want to go a little bit back to the, I had a thought on the last question.
Okay.
Make sure that you're not reaching out to people and wanting to do lunch with them solely for the benefit of your Plexus business. I would encourage you that if there is someone that you find as an influencer, spend a whole lunch with them without talking about Plexus. Spend a lunch with them, really getting to know them and seeing, is it someone that you really want to develop a relationship with, or that you could talk to them eventually about Plexus, or maybe end the conversation saying, I'm so glad we got to do this. I'm constantly being challenged in my Plexus business to meet with influencers and just get to know really how someone that's an influencer really ticks. And you're someone that I see as an influencer. I'm so glad to know you better as a gracious woman of the Lord who, spends her time, really with her kids and her family, and you these small, whatever it is, just make sure that your intentions are pure and that your intentions are not, well, I asked her to join my business and she said no. I'm not interested in her anymore. I have so many friends and dear, sweet friends and acquaintances that will never join my business, and I still love going to lunch with them. I still love doing life with them. And so make sure that your intention in meeting with people is not solely to grow your Plexus business, but really to just grow you as a person. Because I promise if you meet with influencers for lunch consistently, you will grow as just a person. They will probably teach you something you will use in your business. And then how to help with die-off symptoms. Y'all, I'm a question person. I love asking questions. So I will always say, okay, what are you taking? Okay, how often are you taking it? When are you taking it? What else are you taking? What other, pharmaceuticals are you taking? What other supplements are you taking? And we don't have to do a show of hands, but is anyone in here not a product person? I am not. I do not understand them. I want so badly to get better at them, but I luckily have sweet, sweet nerds on my team who research these things all the time. And Rachel Neagle knows that she's our resident nerd. And that's okay because she's a diamond, so she's making good nerd money. And I over time have learned, if you will go back on your team page, I bet you can search the word die-off or detox and find some really good posts. I bet if you go to the Destination Diamond Dream Team page, which is Celeste and Jen's page, you can do the exact same thing. Y'all research it. Figure out what they're on. If it's, we were just having a conversation the other day about ProBio causing somebody heartburn, and then someone on my team said if you drink it with cold water, the cold water actually constricts a lot of the tissues in your esophagus, and so it feels like it's having a harder time to go down if you drink it with cold water. If you drink your capsules with lukewarm water, they go down a lot smoother, and they actually dissolve, better. And I was like, oh, who knew? Really research these things. Y'all can go on Google just like anybody else and research detox symptoms and probiotics, detox symptoms and magnesium. Have them back off. Say, girl, don't take, if you've gone slim and now you've gone probio or BioCleanse for a couple of days and now you've started ProBio 5 and you're having detoxin, let's go back to let's just go back to BioCleanse and Slim. Let's stay there for a little while. Let's just kind of hang out here for a little while with, BioCleanse. Maybe your body needs to get rid of some old toxins first with the BioCleanse, a little longer than the average person, and then we'll add in some ProBio 5. Just remember these kind of sheets that we have that tell them your first 2 days just do Slim, and then 2 days do BioCleanse, and then add one ProBio 5. That's not mathematically accurate for every single person. I started out on Slim for as soon as I started ProBio 5 and BioCleanse, I was told loading dose. So I went 4 a day of ProBio 5 and BioCleanse my first day on. Stayed home for a couple of days, but I didn't think I had die-off symptoms. I had these people that take 1 ProBio 5 and act like they had the flu, like, which totally floors me. That wasn't my reaction at all. And one of my team members is real cautious to remind me that if I didn't have that reaction, then it's stupid that someone else is. And so I have to be really gentle and say, I totally hear you. Let's go back to before you were having those problems. If it's just Slim, let's figure out, when are you taking it, before or after food? Maybe you need to take it at a different time of day. Maybe you need to take it at lunch instead of in the morning. Like, let's work on some things and kind of see, can we tweak it to get you at a perfect place that all of a sudden you're taking Slim, ProBio 5, BioCleanse, X Factor, which, by the way, is awesome for energy. So if they just want to start with Slim and X Factor, let them. Y'all, there is no derivative. There's not even a direction from corporate that they all have to start on Slim. Get them on X Factor, ProBio 5, BioCleanse, and Omega. I mean, get them to just switch their multivitamin, their probiotic, and their Omega to ours. It's not 100 PV. Don't make them a ambassador, but get a customer on that. Then they're at least switching 3 of the products they should already be using to our products. And then work on, oh, well, you were already taking a probiotic before. If this was actually affecting you, maybe the one you were taking before wasn't working. Troubleshoot like that. I wouldn't say freak out, throw your hands in the air, say, well, these products don't work. Let me return your order. Give me a few weeks. Let's work on it. Oh, manage expectations from the beginning. Before they order their products, you need to tell them, hey girl, I lost 45 pounds. Not typical. That's not what everybody gets. And so I just want y'all to be really intentional about managing expectations from the beginning. So that say, this first month or 2, these first 60 days, the reason we offer a 60-day money-back guarantee is because you have 60 days to really figure out the best system for you, the best way this works for you. So let's spend 60 days really figuring out how these products work for you. And then I think at the end of 60 days, you'll be off and flying. You'll know exactly what it works. But give them 60 days to manage the expectations of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like we do with our ambassadors, y'all, remind them of their why they got started with the products. When we build that relationship and we understand why they've joined us from a customer perspective, we're able to go back with them and say, remember how you were feeling before, we're addressing that and we're going to work together through this. You have resources, so utilize them. Send them articles. Don't be the expert. Let somebody else be the expert and give them information from a valid third-party source. So I appreciate, first of all, Andrea, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom with this team. I mean, I know they don't want it to end, but I also know that you all need to go have a power hour and do something amazing for your business. You all have the opportunity to learn from the best of the best. And Andrea, you absolutely fit within that description for sure. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, and your experience with us, and most importantly, your heart. That's what I appreciate the most about you. So again, I thank everyone for being here. I will end the recording and just wish you all the very best. And until the next episode, we will see you then. And as always, go Plexus!